Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Call of Duty HQ is something that's sort of been a roller coaster so far. It's had some pros, it's had some cons since its debut with Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 last year. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the Call of Duty HQ is basically the central hub of Call of Duty, if you will. Don't confuse it with Call of Duty headquarters, which of course was just a one-off thing back in COD World War II that was kind of like a central area in-game you could explore and hang out, which I won't lie was really cool. They should bring that back one day. Just my 2 cents. But anyways, the Call of Duty HQ is more of a technical thing. It's basically the game's download, the central hub for COD, as I mentioned, how you access multiplayer, zombies, campaign, and every single new COD year over year. Now, recently we got some new information about the player base just in general for Call of Duty and for gaming across the board, and it shines some light on some major concerns and some major questions about Call of Duty's availability. So to recap just a little bit, a few days back we were starting to get a lot more Black Ops 6 leaks in regards to its availability. We saw a lot of different stuff surface with Season 4 of MW3 and Warzone, but even prior to that, there was actually a GameStop employee who initially saw that on their new pre-order list, there were versions of Black Ops 6 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and also PlayStation 4, which kind of came as a surprise to some people, saying, oh, you know, another year where Call of Duty is on last gen, another year of having to somewhat limit the tech here to still keep up and keep supporting, you know, a decade-old console at this point with like PS4 and Xbox One. That was then further confirmed when we started to see those other leaks for the various editions of Black Ops 6 leak out with Season 4, including the Vault Edition, the Standard Edition, and of course the Cross-Gen Edition, which is the most applicable for those playing on PlayStation 4, and maybe they plan on upgrading to PlayStation 5, or also a similar case with the Xbox One and Xbox Series X or S. And so that got a lot of people talking. Should Call of Duty continue to build games for obviously all the current gen, most modern tech, whether you're playing on a super overkill PC with the latest CPUs and GPUs and the fastest RAM, and then obviously all the new consoles that are dropping every couple of years. We have leaks and rumors regarding a new Xbox console reportedly coming in like 2026, but then also going back to the PS4 and the Xbox One consoles that have been around for a long time now, that frankly turn into jet engines when you put any new modern game into them, it seems. Should that support still be as broad as it is? Is it limiting the games nowadays to still support last gen? Is supporting those consoles going to cause more issues for current gen players or for PC players? How does that impact the overall quality of the games? There's been a lot of drama regarding that, and that's kind of been a thing for the past couple of years with Call of Duty, and we now know it's going to continue with COD 2024 and Black Ops 6. But like I said, new information has surfaced in regards to availability and where player bases are located, which is ultimately the most important thing for Activision and for the developer studios. Regardless of how you feel or how I feel about whether or not COD should be on a PlayStation 4 or COD should be only on new gen or whatever, at the end of the day, Call of Duty is a business, and we know this by now. They care about their money. Hence the bundles and the bundles and the bundles and the microtransactions and everything like that. They want to make as much profit as they possibly can. And obviously, just from a broad stance, having the game as available as possible is going to equate to more sales. That's kind of a no-brainer thing. Now, that said, a big thing initially when like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S were first coming out a few years ago was their availability. It was really hard to get hands-on one of these new consoles. You had to basically sit there and camp out the website refreshes for Best Buy or for Walmart or whatever to get a PlayStation 5 or to get a Series X, right? However, that availability issue has sort of calmed down now. It's much easier to gain access to these current gen consoles. Now, the pricing hasn't really changed all that much. They're still expensive, right? But it's not nearly as difficult to actually secure one if you're interested in picking up a Series X or a Series S or a PlayStation 5, right? But a lot of people at the same time look at that and go, okay, I'm still playing these new games on my PlayStation 4. I'm still playing these new games on my Xbox One. Sure, I won't have a miniature jet engine in my room when I boot up Call of Duty if I were to upgrade, but is that worth $500. Is that worth having to do that upgrade and change out all my peripherals and things like that, get another controller and everything? Should I actually make that change if it's only for specific things? And it seems like, according to this new data, that a lot of players think that it's not worth it to make that upgrade quite yet, because PlayStation recently put out a new report for their player base and for their consoles and everything. Charlie Intel ended up reporting on this, saying PlayStation has revealed that as of April 30th, 2024, 50% of the active users on PlayStation consoles are still on PlayStation 4. There's currently roughly 49 million users on PlayStation 4 and 49 million users on PlayStation 5. That right there, my friends, is exactly why Call of Duty and even other games as well continue to drop new titles that are developed on the most modern tech on 10-year-old consoles. Their whole base graph here on engaged user-based data shows that it's basically 50-50, and while more gameplay hours are spent on PlayStation 5, maybe because some of their PlayStation 4s take off and launch into orbits, the amount of people still logging on to PlayStation is 50-50 up the middle with PS4 and PS5. Now, we don't have the exact data for Xbox as well, but you'd have to imagine it's going to be roughly similar to that, still large enough that Xbox One is worth supporting for certain titles. And then Charlie Intel rounds out their tweet by saying, in case you are wondering why Black Ops 6 is still coming to PS4 and Xbox One, it's that right there. Like I said, Call of Duty wants to earn money. They want to make as much money as they possibly can by any means necessary. And especially now, because Xbox and Microsoft have taken over Activision Blizzard and whatnot, they need to kind of regain some of that money that they spent in that acquisition. And with that, having the game as available as possible is the way to do that. If you were to sit here and say, okay, we're only going to drop COD on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, well, that's a potential 49 million users that now would not be buying the game because they're on PlayStation 4. Now, obviously, not every single one of those 49 million people are gonna buy Call of Duty or ever even play it or think about it. A lot of them play other games. They don't care for COD. That is what it is. But we know there's tens of millions of players on older gen consoles now that are a massive part of that player base. And think of how much money that equates to buying the base game or potentially the Vault Edition and then upgrading maybe further on down the road to the cross-gen or whatever the case may be. Buying the bundles, the battle passes, everything like that. That is millions and millions of dollars that they would be limiting themselves and taking away from themselves if they stopped producing these games on last gen consoles. So, even with Microsoft taking over, while Sony is obviously a direct competitor for them, hey, they get to drop a game that they now own on PlayStation where there's 100 million active monthly users, and they get to collect a check from Sony because of that. So why limit how much that check is going to be when they can still support the game for last gen and, potentially double that check's, amount by the end of it. So from a business standpoint, it certainly makes sense. Now, you could still make the argument that yes, having these games on last gen is causing some limitations from a development standpoint. It's going to create issues. It's going to make that experience on last gen not nearly as good as you'd hope for, a brand new game that's dropping. There's going to be problems inherently because of that. Until there is a drastic shift in where people are playing and they're switching from PlayStation 4 to PS5 or Xbox One to PC or to Xbox Series X and S, they're going to continue to drop CODs on last gen, just straight up into COD 2025, COD 2026, as long as they need to still, make a sufficient amount of money, whatever they deem sufficient off of those last gen sales. Keep in mind, though, especially with Microsoft's acquisition, one of their main points that they made when they were talking about why they wanted to, purchase Activision Blizzard King was availability. There's already been talks to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo and expand the availability and have it available on more platforms. So just strictly looking at it from that point of view, it makes even more sense that Call of Duty and the COD HQ is going to continue to be available on as many different platforms and console generations as possible. And the whole dynamic of the COD HQ in and of itself, it being this central hub where in year one it's MW2's main game, in year two it's MW3's main game, in year three it is then Black Ops 6's main game, it allows them to already have the base app available and ready for last gen and current gen and PC, then they can just continue to add in the new Call of Duty to it and update it as needed. So from a technical standpoint, that's sort of making things more seamless. Definitely not perfect, as we see there's constantly issues with it, but that's kind of the design intent there, I guess you could say. So the Call of Duty HQ is only getting bigger and bigger year over year as they continue to expand this, but then also add in newer and newer Call of Duty titles year over year as well. So for those curious as to why the situation is what it is, hopefully this shines some light on that. That being said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed, do me a favor, drop a like. It is always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can guarantee you are always up to date with absolutely everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.